Hey YouTube, it's me, Jen, your Pudgy Picker.
And Kimberly.
And we are here for another podcast, Two Sisters,
One booth.
And this is podcast number...
Oh, you didn't have it ready. Come
21,
on.
21.
Oh, to be 21 again.
21. We're legal to drink.
Ugh.
That's been a long time.
Yeah.
So today we're going to kind of go a little bit in a different direction than we normally do, and we're going to talk about our reselling story. So we're going to talk about when we started, how we started, that kind of thing, on selling on eBay as well as in a booth. So when did we start reselling?
I think I was born reselling. I come from a poor family, and it just seems like way back when you were already learning how to scavenge at an early age.
Yep.
Because everything practically I owned was already a hand-me-down, so I didn't have a fear of
Amen. I was the last of 5 kids. I don't think I ever
Yep.
owned anything original.
And I can remember being a young teenager and having other people, other families that we knew donate clothes to me. And I mean, even as far as hose, and I'm going to give away some of my age facts here by saying that I can remember being totally excited because pantyhose were just becoming just an inkling then. And someone that I knew had given me the kind of where you wear the garter and the hooks. And that was before you did that because it was sexy.
It was
when
called
they had it.
necessity.
There you go. If you didn't have those on, they fell off. So yeah, that was a long time ago. So when you're already handed off stuff like that, you don't have as much of an aversion towards picking up things that other people belong. So
Now, funny enough, I'm going to tell a very sad story.
Oh, here, I'm getting out my little miniature violin.
Yes,
my finger
yes.
and my
Start
thumb.
to play
There we go.
because here we go. When I was in elementary school and I was riding the bus home, I really didn't have very many nice clothes at all to wear to school. Mm-hmm. And there was kids that used to call me Goodwill. You know, that was telling the future.
Oh.
It must have been. And then the one time we had a different bus driver for some reason, and we were literally driving by the Goodwill, you know, like not too far from here. That's a Chinese food place or something now.
Yeah.
And somebody said, "Oh, Jenny needs to be dropped off at Goodwill," and the bus driver started to slow down.
Oh, they
and I was mortified. Can you imagine?
Oh, that's funny. It's
like,
funny
yeah, you
now.
can call me Goodwill, but look at all the money I'm going to make from
That's
Goodwill.
Right. You just broke my aversion early.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, that's like, Kmart used to be like the hokey pokey of everything. And they say, "Where'd you get your driver's license, Kmart?"
Yeah, pretty much.
And we never thought we'd see the day where they went out of business. And look at
I always think of that. Like years ago, if you would have said, Kmart's going to be out, it's like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. That would be like somebody telling somebody now that Amazon's not going to be around forever.
Yeah.
You would say, absolutely, yeah, that's never going to happen.
That's for sure.
Yep. I worked at Kmart for about 3.5 years right out of high school.
And she has horror stories.
I used to
prove
run
it.
blue light specials. See, I had a knack for talking to myself. It was...
And still nobody listens. No.
Only my kids don't listen.
I'll say, I know I'm talking because I can hear myself when it was coming, talking to the kids.
Yep.
I know. Anyway, okay, we kind of got off subject
That's
there, didn't
okay.
we?
We're in an off subject kind of way. So
Yeah.
when did you start selling on eBay?
Oh my goodness. I was trying to think of a date. I just know that my kids were little. Maybe, I don't know, probably 95.
That's when they started. 95 was when eBay started.
Yeah, because I remember my the first computer we had, and I can remember not even know how to get it. My daughter helped me to get my my email and stuff set up, and I'd say, "Honey, I need to send an email. Can you go and get the computer set up for me?" And now look at me.
Yeah.
So I know it wasn't too long after that, but the kids were young because that's how I started to sell stuff, was some of the stuff that they outgrew. We won't. Yeah. We'll go into that in a minute. Go ahead.
So I would say, I think it was 1990, late 97 or early 98, because my son, Connor, which everybody knows, was born in the summer of 98. So it was when he was small and but I wasn't selling consistently. I don't think I've ever sold on eBay consistently.
Yeah.
Until the last few years.
Yeah, exactly.
And the weirdest thing, and I don't even know how, because we were talking about what did we used to sell? I used to sell jeans, only jeans.
I know, that was the first thing I remember.
Isn't that the weirdest thing? And I'm like, I don't even sell jeans now. I don't know, it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what drew me to that, but and then as far as the booth is concerned, when did we start? The first place that we started, what year was that?
I was saying to you that I know it was right after when the economy went, because
it was like, what, 09?
Yeah, where I was working, they closed down. I was there 11 years, and they called us into a meeting and told us we were losing our jobs. And that was in 2009. So it was right after that, because everything went downhill from that, and I was going to have to be selling my house and doing stuff and trying to downsize. So I was looking for a place to figuring out how
it's
to do garage sales.
It's funny, because the first time we went out there, we went on a Monday.
Yes. We were
That's the day they're closed.
We were looking for things to do with my mom. We're like, we're going to get together, and why don't we, find something to do, and then we'll go have lunch, and then bring Mom home. And I had been past that place. We'd been past there a couple of years past it, and always was saying, one of these days. So
what year did they open?
I don't even know. I don't remember.
Was it like 2000?
I was going to say. I know, because they had already been open a number of years before we were there.
So we went, and of course, we pull in, and we're like, the whole parking lot's empty.
Yeah,
because they weren't open.
Yeah.
We ended up coming back another day, of course, and we were kind of like, this is kind of cool. We could do something like this. And I don't know exactly how soon after that it was.
It wasn't too long, because I remember, like I said, by then, I knew that I was going to have tons of stuff to start getting rid of, and I just didn't want to donate it, but I knew I was going to have to downsize because I was going to be losing everything. And I thought, man, this would be a great place to just bring my stuff up here and try to sell it. And I can remember mentioning to you, saying, I'm kind of thinking about this. And then she calls me about a week later. Hey, you know what? I've decided that I'm going to do this. Do you want to go in with me?
Of course, it was my idea.
It was her idea the whole time, and I just never knew it.
Yep.
So,
see,
but that's kind of how we decided to jump in.
Yeah, and I think when we decided to do that, we were just kind of like, you had more of a mind of what you were going to sell, and I was just kind of like, wee!
Yes.
Yes. So we kind of already talked about, I talked about what I started selling on eBay. What did you put up on eBay? It was probably kids' clothes?
Well, not necessarily as much clothes as it was, kids' shoes. The kids were outgrowing their shoes so quick, and they're like brand new.
Yeah.
And then I'd find them at garage sales or whatever. I'd find around here there was a lot of like little cowboy boots, and it's like, oh, they're just so darn cute.
Yep.
But then they outgrow them real quick, and they were in really good shape. So that's what I started selling, was just kids' shoes.
Kids outgrow stuff. I know my son Connor was almost 11 pounds when he was born. And there would be days when he was a baby that I would put like a t-shirt on him, and at the end of the day I could barely get it off his head. I'm like, did your head grow to it? So I'm pulling it, and he's, because it's, I'm tearing his ears off, and I'm like, that is so weird. You must have grown today when I wasn't looking.
See, and she tried to outdo me then, because until then I had my son who was 10 pounds 4 ounces. So she just had to, over the top with this pound baby.
He was 10 pounds... 11 and a half ounces?
Yeah, see, 10.4, 10
yeah,
11
and he was like 22 inches or something. I mean, he was enormous.
Always trying to one-up me.
And he was breech. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Oh.
So, anyway, so we've been doing this a while.
A while.
Yeah.
I used to, before that, I had garage sales. And at the time, the city didn't have limits on them. And I wasn't one of those where every day you drive by and see.
Every weekend.
But I had a garage where I'd have the table set up in the garage. And I would just take stuff out and I'd get it all set up on the tables, cover it with plastic. I'd get some more and put it out. And so I could open the garage door, and I had a plastic tarp that I put up metal on either side, poles, so that it was like tarped over, and I could just drag out a couple of the other ones, and so it was easy to go. And in winter, I'd pack things away. But I'd have probably maybe 6 or 8 through the summer, spread out, but I'd have probably 6 garage sales. And that's how I made extra money to, help support my kids.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a natural thing, I think, having this stuff, and then it's like I don't have time for garage sale, but now they got this new eBay thing going here.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was neat to be involved in both of them so early on. Now, I can think of a lot of things that we sold when we first started having our booth. And of course, that's a learning curve, because we're like, well, we could sell this and we'll sell that. And then as you start selling, you're like, well, this isn't doing so good. Or, I brought in these items, but I didn't think they'd do so good, and they sold right away. So that's when the learning curve really started. How long do you think we sold in a booth before we felt like we were starting to get a handle on what we were doing?
I'd probably say my first thing, I'm going with my first thought, is 2 years.
Yeah. It was a while.
Yeah, because it was one of those, this is really a nice shape. Everybody's going to want this. And you're just not thinking along the lines of, there's my goose again, comes to my mind. All that goose stuff. It's like, these are still really in good shape, but it's still in the box. It was never even hung up, and it's like...
and nobody wants it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well,
and then it took a while to get the booth looking right.
Yeah.
And we
plus we started with barely any display pieces. Yeah. And we had the advantage when we went to this new place that we had everything. In fact, we had enough display pieces for a double booth. So we certainly could wean it down to what we wanted to do and what we were going to use.
Yeah.
So that was a whole different way of doing it. We bring in like 2 shelves, and we're like, we're doing it.
I know, and you bring in what feels like a ton of boxes, and you put it out and go, it still looks so empty.
Yeah, when we were doing that when we started at the other place, remember?
Yeah.
We came out with a ton of stuff, and we're like, that's not a lot.
That's not even a ding in it there.
Yeah, because it was this time of year. Yeah. We started in September, so it's 2 years we've been out at the new place. Let's see. When we first started reselling, what was our goal? What were you going to use the money for, I guess?
Well, for me, since I had lost my job, and the only good thing was that because of the economy the way that was, they kept extending the unemployment, which was helpful. But I was looking to sell off stuff and have some extra money to survive on, to pay your bills, to buy groceries, to buy what was necessities.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess when I first started, I didn't really know exactly what I was going to use the money for. When my kids were, my kids were probably 2 and 4.5, or 2 and 3.5. No, 2 and 4.5. So that was early on.
Oh, when you
and
first
I was
started
staying.
selling on eBay,
when I was staying at home. Well, when did we start the booth again? 10?
Yeah, had to be.
Yeah. Then the kids were only 2, and because Connor was born in 98 and Kaylin was born in 95. So they weren't that old. And at that point, I was a stay-at-home mom, so, my husband, we made a lot of sacrifices so that I was able to stay home with the kids. And, once they start going to school and stuff, it's like, I wanted to, why are you looking at me so oddly?
We always do this, don't we?
Yeah, you look at me and I'm like,
my
what am I?
My brain is still going, it's like, they were born in 98, 95, and they were only true. No, when you started on eBay, but not at the booth.
When did we start the booth?
98, 2009 is when I lost my job. Then it was 2010.
Okay. So, okay, they were going to be teenagers, and I needed something to do.
Because I'm thinking, how long have we been doing this? They weren't that.
Yeah.
And they're
eBay. I'm
out
thinking
there.
eBay.
You must
Well,
have been.
and when the kids need gym less, and it's like I wanted to, contribute, and with the bad things that were going on, I know Mr. Pudgy Picker took a cut at work instead of losing his job, and we had there was some financial difficulty. We were living a little wild and free and young and stupid, like a lot of people do. So I really wanted to help and contribute to the household, and I've been able to do that in a larger way now.
You paid for braces with your money.
Yep.
At one point.
Yep.
So,
both kids had braces.
Yep. So it was used appropriately.
So right now, I'm using my money for paying off bills because we're almost debt free.
Yay!
Yay! So, it's funny, in fact, because it was a year or two ago on our anniversary that you could tell you're getting old when you give this for an anniversary gift. I kept teasing my husband that I was going to buy him new underwear because he needed new underwear. So he's like, I can buy my own underwear. Thank you very much. And I ended up paying off a credit card. And it was like, I paid it off within like 3 to 4 months. And it was like almost $1,000. And I had I went in, it was a department store, and handed the money over, had them put the receipt, staple it onto the statement. And I bought him underwear. I put it in a box, and underneath at the bottom I put the bill, the paid bill. And that was his anniversary gift. So I'm like, he was opening up, oh, this is nice, thanks. And inside he's thinking, okay. And then he gets to the bottom, and it took him a minute for you could see when it clicked what it was. And he was just amazed. So that's when I really started funneling a lot of my money into paying bills and back into the business, of course.
Yeah, because you end up having to do that if you want to be successful. We each at different times have pitched in or bought different or gone halves into display pieces, or you've bought pieces and then resold it to gain your money back. So you have to keep putting back into the business.
Yeah. So, I'm able to comfortably buy more for eBay to resell and for the booth and then have extras. So that's really nice. But I think when we started, especially in the booth, I didn't have this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, it was just something fun to do, kind of like, hey, let's give this a shot.
Yeah, and we got to spend time together.
Yes, we did, and do.
Yep. I guess we kind of talked about, too, what your most awesome reselling thing is. And I guess we could do it for eBay as well as something that we sold in the booth. So, I don't know.
That's kind of hard because, in all honesty, even though I had a lot of inventory.
Useful things that people needed and couldn't live without.
To start off with, my circumstances have always been a little different, so I've never been able to quite jump in as deep with my sales at the booth or on eBay as Jenny has. I've had a lot of other obligations, and being a single parent and having 2 kids still at home, and then losing my job and all of those issues, and then taking care of Mom. So I haven't been able to jump in quite as deep or as full as I would have liked to.
Yeah.
But that being said, there were a number of times where I bought things that were just kind of strange or odd, and
love buying that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that stuff is great. I think the one thing that I made the most on, from what I spent for the item to what I got out of it on eBay, and I know people are probably sick of hearing me talk about it because there was a couple of different sales like that, but one, I went to a garage sale, and they had I don't even know, it's just a decorative item that had been up on somebody's shelf. This thing was covered in hair and dust and debris, and it just looked like a cheap piece of garbage. But then I got looking at it, and like I tell you, sometimes you look at something and you just get a gut feeling about it.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting piece of artwork that was a like not a tiger, coming out of a
It's like a mountain lion?
Mountain lion, yeah,
Yeah.
a mountain lion coming out of a rock. And so the rock was looking like a rock, and then the rock slowly transformed into this body of this animal. And I just thought that was really neat. Well, I brought it home, and I cleaned it up, and I found a mark and a name, and did some research on it, and that. And the person wanted like $5. And I'll be honest, I am super cheap. A lot of times when I'm at a garage sale, I'll offer you half of what you got.
You're one of those.
I am one of those. But
cheap,
you know, it works,
cheap.
It works a lot. It works a lot. So I'm
well,
going
when
with
something
it,
isn't even cleaned
yes.
off,
Yep.
that certainly helps.
Yep. So it was $5 covered in dog hair.
You pick it up like, ew,
Exactly.
You know, that works.
So I ended up paying, we bargained a little bit and got it up to like $3. So for like $3, I got this thing, brought it home, cleaned it up, and listed it on eBay. And I took a best offer at $199 on it. So that was my best eBay one. Of course, I didn't sell anything quite that expensive at the other place, but I mean, I'm trying to think of it.
In fact, as you were talking, I thought of something that I bought at our old store, at the old antique mall, that I bought, re-tagged, and sold. From there, we come in, and you know, a lot of times, you know, certain booths or whatever you see, and you see something really nice, and you're like, oh, that's probably really expensive. And right where we came to unload, there was some furniture there, and there was a blue, really, really nice recliner.
I remember that.
It looked like brand new. And we must have walked past that thing 20 times because we were unloading and moving stuff around. And I finally stopped and thought, I just wonder how much this is. It was like $10.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? So I took the tag. Yeah, I took the tag right off, walked right over, paid for it, came back over, made a tag for $75,
and retagged
and it sold within a week.
Yep.
And I didn't have to lift a finger. I didn't have to move it. I didn't have to
pray
anything.
to have it sprayed again. Nothing.
Done. It was done.
One
so
and done.
that was probably
the best. Yeah.
because usually I don't think I've ever bought anything and resold it. Bought it from the antique mall, resold it at the antique mall.
Yeah.
That's a very rare. I've found things at the antique mall that I've sold on eBay.
Yes.
But never bought them and then resold them in the same space.
Because in a lot of cases, especially if it's been sitting, if they've been there a little while, if they ain't selling it at that low of a price, you're not going to sell it at a higher price.
So I mean, they must have just brought it in. Because I kept thinking, I don't need one, and what the heck, I'll look. And I was like, $10.
Well, I bought that, it was a TV armoire, but I don't know where it was. The owner, I guess, got a ton of these. I don't know where
like
he
a
got them
hotel
from.
or?
Something like that. And some of them were really old. Some were kind of beat up, but he had them wherever there was room to set them up. Is where he had them.
He had them marked really low because he was trying to get rid of them.
But this one was really nice. It was like almost brand new. You know which one it is, right in the end there. And it had stained glass, clear glass, stained glass with the metal and everything, not the faux one. Doors on the bottom with a shelf for your whatever, and doors that closed and a shelf on the inside. I mean, it was a perfect. It still had stickers on it. Still had the tags on it, brand new, and I paid like $15 for it or something dumb. And I brought it home, and it's actually I got it to, and I made a makeshift shelf in it, and I store some of my material and my crafting supplies. You can close the door on the ugly boxes that you can't make look nice on a shelf.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that was like one of my best purchases, not sales, but I think one thing that comes to mind for sales was I got a globe on a stand, and it looked pretty rickety.
Okay.
But I remember looking at it, and there's certain things to look at on a globe that tell of its age or whatever. And I thought it was, well, I'm sure I can get a couple dollars out of this. So I ended up taking it up there, and I sold it for like $48. Yeah. And then
was it an usser?
I don't remember now. It was so long ago.
That's what we call at the antique mall. If it's a usser, it's a US. It has USSR on it.
Yes, that's right.
So somebody is that an usser?
Yeah. And it was, yeah.
Now,
So,
I've talked about several of the things that I've bought and sold on eBay. I had that cuckoo clock. I had a stuffed monkey from the 50s. Just stuff like that that I've sold. I don't know if I've ever mentioned. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I just reminded you of that cookie jar that you had. That you were going to throw it away because it was cracked and chipped and nobody's going to want to buy this thing.
Yep.
Put it on eBay and you sold it.
So I had, I don't think it was last summer. I think it was the summer previous. So 2 years ago. And it was plastic figurine, maybe 6-7 inches tall. And it was Tupac, the rapper.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I paid like $2 or $3 for this thing. Yeah, I took that's when I had my Twitter account. I put him up there, took a picture. But the cool story behind that is I thought, well, I know he's not around anymore. So I thought, well, I know I could sell it for more than a couple bucks, so I got it. I ended up doing research on it, and it turned out his mother took over his estate. She's no longer with us either. She died maybe a year ago. And they had made this and started distributing this figurine I had. And she didn't approve of it. So she said, stop selling it. So they yanked them from the shelves. So there was only a few hundred of them sold. So that's what made it extra rare. And I sold it for about $200. And it's like...
For a little 6-inch figurine.
Yeah, plastic.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't even like...
Fancy
like that awesome or that detailed or anything. So even something like that, so to buy something for a couple bucks and flip it for that, boy, that's awesome.
It is. It's a good feeling too when you hear, well, online you hear the cha-ching, cha-ching, but at the store when you see the printout, it's like, hee-hoo.
Yep. So, I don't know. I guess when you talk about something being a really awesome sale, you always think of the money first. Was there anything like strange or weird that you've sold? Didn't necessarily make a lot of money, but it was something maybe unique or...
I can't remember what I had for dinner last night. You want to ask me about the last 10 years of my life here? I don't know. I can't. Nothing is really... Usually when you say something comes to mind. And I don't know. I've just found really odd and ugly stuff. And coconut. I had a carved coconut it was a monkey.
Oh.
Carved coconut monkey. And I got the opportunity of also wringing it out as it left the store. It was really ugly.
I know, when you bought that thing in, I was like, ooh.
And I told you somebody's going to... And they did love it. And what it was is the person that bought it, they bought it because... For years, they had this running joke about this dumb, ugly coconut monkey, and they would take and box it up and ship it to one of their family members. So the family member, I got a box, open it up, it's this dumb coconut monkey. So you'd wait a little while, and then you'd pack it up and ship it off to somebody else. So it was bounced around, and then eventually somewhere it didn't get shipped back out, and it got lost. And nobody knew what happened to it. So when they saw it, they were absolutely ecstatic.
They were like, yes, we can start the tradition again.
They're like, man, I can't wait to get this home and get it packaged up and send it out. So, you never know what's going to sell and why.
That reminds me when one of my husband's cousins had, as a joke, went to Blair, if you know the store.
Yes.
And in Pennsylvania, they had a ton of them back in the day.
Well, most of them out this way were mail order, but there were stores.
And it was the ugliest red polyester shirt. It was like a dress shirt, but it was, red. And if you would have set it on fire, it wouldn't have burned, it would have melted. And they, just to see how gracious Mr. Pudgy Baker could be, they wrapped it up and gave it to him as a present. So it was one of those, oh, wow, thanks, and everybody's waiting to see, So what we did is after we, they let us off the hook and knew it was a joke and everything, I made a pillow out of it and gave it back to her. And then she did something else. She made a purse out of it and sent it back to us. And then I can't remember what else we did to it. But of course, it was getting smaller and less to work with each time. But we did that back and forth, so that was fun. Yeah. But trying to think of what else. I mean, how long do you think we're going to be doing this?
Oh, I'm going to probably do it from my graveside if I could. I think it's just, for some people, I think it's just kind of born into you that when you see something and you know it's got life left in it,
Yeah.
and you just hate to see it go to waste or to be thrown away or to be lost, or just the appreciation of being able to keep it in circulation a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I think that's why there's such a big movement now, not only reselling, but dumpster diving, and trash picking and all this, because people are it's more cool to trash pick than it used to be.
Yeah.
Because it's like, ooh, save the planet, reuse, recycle. Years ago, if our mother would have pulled over to get something out of the trash, we probably would have died a 1,000 deaths.
Yeah.
Hoping no one saw us.
It's funny because when I met up with my husband, his parents, they had health issues and different problems, so he was retired, and he actually, they had, at a drive-in theater every weekend through the summer, they had a great big, what do you call it?
Like a flea market.
Flea market, yeah. And so we would end up loading up his truck in our car, and we'd go and help unload, and we'd leave. And we'd show back up to help pick up the stuff and bring it back home. But even then, so it was kind of like...
Was that your first real exposure to anybody doing that?
That, yes. And I remember one time I was in the truck with them when they stopped and wanted to pick up something out of the trash, and I just thought I was going to... it's one thing to go to a garage sale and buy something, but to pick it up off the... I was like, oh, I want that. It's really awesome, but I don't want anybody to see me do it, So, yeah, that, when I was 18, 19 years
us growing
old.
up, we really ever knew anybody or were related to anybody who did that.
Well, now I can say that Dad used to know somebody who was a garbage truck man. And back then they would have a guy driving and a couple guys on the back. And I can remember even seeing
they had to actually pick up the stuff and throw it in the back.
Exactly. So they would find cool stuff too. And where between the cab and the back of the actual truck, you'd see stuff shoved in there as it would go by because they were taking stuff that they wanted too. And one time, one of his buddies stopped by, and they had this big, giant, overstuffed, maned lion that they brought to me, and it was huge. It was huge. And so that was garbage picked, and I had that for quite a while.
So I remember that.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, it's, if we were ever trash people, we'd have to have a trailer attached to the back.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Well, and then, things like I didn't have, when I got married, dumb mistake I did, but that's another story.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, man, that's a lifetime of books right there, an encyclopedia of learning. But, yeah, and I didn't have any money, and we had young kids, and I couldn't go out and buy stuff. And I remember my oldest daughter, I have a picture of her where I had taken a cardboard box and cut slits in it to push it down to make it look like a chair, and took a towel and covered it with the towel to make it a chair. So my oldest daughter would have a child, she was a toddler, chair to sit in. And then Mom got new curtains, and she gave me her old curtains, and I got some lace, and I recut them, and I put lace around them and hung them up in my living room.
Yeah.
So, I think part of all of that plays a role into it in the long run.
Well, I think being less wasteful. I know certain age of people, not you in particular, but, going through the Great Depression and all that. I mean, people didn't...
Oh, yeah, save string. That's where those string boxes came from.
Throw things out like they do now. Mm-hmm. And things were made to last longer.
Oh, definitely.
Now things that are made to fail after a certain amount of time.
Yep. How quick can we make them in mass amounts, get them out before people lose interest if we move on to something else?
And years ago, people used things until they weren't useful anymore, until they broke or wore out. Yep. And now people get rid of things because I'm changing my decor. I'm tired of looking at it.
Yeah,
I don't really use it.
I've got 5 of them.
Yeah, I want a different color. I'm going to go buy one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I mean, you hate to complain because we make a lot of money off of people having that viewpoint in life. But it is very wasteful. And I don't think there's so many other countries that don't have that culture, that are not wasteful. They don't have thrift stores on every corner, charity shops.
Yeah.
They don't have people throwing out mass amounts of stuff in the trash.
American
they just
greed.
don't. Yeah.
So just a quick way to make a buck.
So yeah, I think it's definitely considered more stylish and more, hip to, care about the environment and reuse, recycle, renew, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it is a different culture now than it used to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good for us,
Oh, yeah. I've picked up many things in the trash over the years. Many.
Well, it's funny, if you polled people leaving our store and said, would you ever pick anything out of the trash? I'm sure a certain amount of them would be like, ew.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what you just bought.
Yeah, you know where I got that from?
Yeah.
You know what I had to clean off and scrape off of that?
The guy next to us, his booth, probably 90...
We still need to take a picture of that booth.
95% of what he resells is trash picked.
That desk that he put in there?
He has $850 on this metal desk.
Oh,
it's gorgeous.
I don't know if he stripped the paint off it or what.
Did.
If it's been buffed down to just raw metal.
Oh, it's
but
beautiful.
It's awesome. Yeah.
So
awesome.
it's one of those people. I'm going to go to this shop and I'm going to buy these specially procured items. Yeah, where we're procured. We're picking them out of the trash. We bought them at auction. We paid this amount of money, put in some elbow grease, and now we're selling them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So will I stop and pick up something that's on the side of the road?
Hell yeah.
You're darn tootin'. And I laugh because my son, he's more understanding than he used to be. But if I even like slow down and I really start looking,
I know, they do.
They go, "Oh no, Mom." I mean, Connor gets it more now than he used to.
Yeah.
But he used to do the slow slide into the seat and cover his face and hope nobody knows seen him. And
I know. Been there and done that. Well, I mean, like right now, I have that little cabinet that I have in there. It's a kitchen cabinet that someone was throwing away. I kept going down that road on purpose every day when I take the kids to school, because they were remodeling this house, and I was always finding good stuff out by the trash every week.
Yep.
And this is just one little cabinet, and it was finished on both sides because it obviously was being used somewhere. Had the countertop and everything on it. And I needed a small kitchen, small table, counter space. I brought that in, sits right next to the stove, and I got my microwave on it, and all my pots and pans are under it, and all my cooking utensils are in the one drawer. So, I picked that up out the trash.
Yeah.
At home.
See, that's a neat thing about if you pick up something out of the trash or you pick up something for a real good price and you use it, if you then decide to get rid of it, you're going to make money on it. Plus, you got all this time you got to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, So I guess we've talked about some of our favorite, things about the job. What's some of your least favorite things about reselling? See, these are questions I didn't write down.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The least favorite part is, the best part is putting it up and making it look all pretty and selling it and getting the money, but sometimes the work that goes into getting the item or the cleanup or getting the item ready can be a little time consuming, and the boring part of it and tagging it and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had more time for a lot of the things that, I literally have probably 20 things in my basement that need to be spray painted before I can resell them.
Yeah.
And I was looking at them the other day and I'm like, you know what? It's going to start getting chilly around here. I need to just pick a day and pull all the stuff out. I got 2 cans of white paint and 2 cans of black, and just start
set
taking
up a
care of
spray
it.
booth in the garage.
Just start doing it, because this stuff, it's just not, it's not gonna, it's just
Not
sitting
gonna
there
sell itself.
staring at me every time I'm down there. And every time I see something, it's like, well, I could this and that, but then I'd this and that, and then I'd nope. Because I know how I work. And, you know, if I buy something and I want to redo it or whatever, you know, that's fine. But I don't have the time. I wish I had more time to do that end of it. Because I don't. And there's things I pass up because I know I don't have that time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of,
for sure,
you know, irritating. But and the getting up really early on Mondays kind of stinks too. But
yeah. And then, you know, like you did a live interview on Facebook for the store last week, which was really cool. You should put a link to that. Can you put a link to that?
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, so she gave a tour. I wasn't out there that day. Aww. But she said hi to me. I thought that was really sweet. But, what was I going to say? Oh, no, I had a brain fart.
Yeah, please, tell me all the amazing things that you learned and how awesome I was in this video.
I had a brain fart. Hold on. It'll catch up to me in a minute.
Just don't call me if it's late. She'll be like, I remembered.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. But what was the point I was trying to make behind all that?
It's funny because they've been wanting to do Facebook Live with some of the vendors. And they've done, probably 3 before me.
Mm-hmm.
And I told the manager, Robin, I'm like, hey, you know, if I'm in and you want to do that, you know, I could talk all day. I got a YouTube channel. I'm used to just jibber-jawing. So we went ahead and did it, and it was like 10, 12 minutes long. Just show them around the booth, and then they have, of course, the questions on the bottom, so we were answering some of the questions, and so it was a lot of fun. I'll see if I can put a link in the description box below, and because it's on there.
On Facebook,
if you go on, if you just go to Facebook and type in Antiques and Uniques for what is it, Wycliffe?
Yeah,
Wycliffe, Ohio. It should pop up, but it was a lot of fun, and because I told her when we got ready to start, I'm like, how long do you want this to go? Because I could talk for hours. She's like 10 or 12 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I think I can handle that. So
yeah. But I think it'll be fun because everybody's always asking and wanting pictures. And this one, you get a live preview of everything.
And that's the first time I've done a booth tour where I'm actually in the tour.
I know.
So that was kind of nice because usually I just kind of, you know, start and go around. I don't think my booth tours are even that long. But it was a lot of fun, and my sales were really good that weekend because it was a Wednesday, and I worked.
I didn't make it.
And I worked Friday, and usually when I work, I don't know what it is. I don't sell things. I don't sell any of my own things, and there was a whole bunch of things going through, and I wondered how much it had to do with that. So
Facebook is really a good tool.
Yeah, and of course,
very good tool.
It was free for us to do it. So I was like, yeah, self-promotion and free. Sign me up. So
well, if I think of it, I'll let you know. But it was really, really something awesome, inspiring that
we all could
forgot.
have benefited from.
That's right. What can I say?
So, you know, just talking about, you know, everybody has a reselling story. I know some people have been doing it since they were itty-bitty. They were going to auctions with parents or grandparents, and or they knew someone who did it. I mean, years ago, I mean, people were doing it. It wasn't, I mean, before eBay and, you know, people would do a flea market or garage sales, or, you know, people have been bartering and reselling their stuff they don't want forever.
Yep.
And, you know, to actually make a living on it, you know, and I just love the job so much because, like you said, you find all kinds of interesting things that you just never know.
Otherwise, it ends up in my basement.
Yeah, and
I don't know what I'm going to use this for, but it was just too good to pass up.
But some people, and I've been asked this before, they say, well, how do you not keep all that cool stuff? And I always think because I've always considered myself just a little stop on things on their way to where they should be. And to find someone, if I like something, or, oh, that's kind of cute or whatever, but there's someone out there that's going to be like, oh, man, I remember having this as a kid, or I always wanted one of these, or, oh, that would fit perfect in my house. There's someone out there that wants that item way more than I do. And for me to get it from where it was to in that person's hand, that's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really rewarding. And I've had people, not so much in the booth, but on eBay, send me messages and say, I bought this because of this, that, or the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad I got it. Thank you so much for offering this.
I tried to send a funny one to somebody when I got sewing machine needles or bobbins. And they didn't even let me know that they got my message. I was so disappointed because I thought I was being so cute. Oh, my little message was so cute, and they didn't even acknowledge it.
Well, see, and I think when we first started, too, we were buying stuff that we liked.
I think that's kind of, that's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of things you buy because you like them.
That's where I was going to go with that, because you made the comment.
Welcome.
Yes, yeah, I knew it would come something. Made the comment about you could see our personalities in the booth.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it is. If you have an interest in something, or you really enjoyed something, or, you know, it could even be stuff of certain colors or whatever. If it grabs you, that's what you tend to be drawn to. And then there's other stuff that other people collect, and that you're like, I have absolutely no interest. You don't even want to look at it in their booth. So that's what it is too. Is a lot of it is that you see our booth and that tour. That's why I brought it up. You'll see our personality because that's why we can't thrift together, because we'd be fighting in the aisles. We'd be fighting in the aisles.
That's mine. I saw it first.
I just picked it up first. They're bad. So yeah, but it's us. It's us.
And it's funny because people say, branch out and buy things that you wouldn't normally get, and
I think we're quite eclectic, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of it you buy because you're attracted to it, and then there's other things that you pick up because you know it's going to sell. And of course, those items are much easier to not get attached to.
And if they went by what you sell a lot in your booth, they'd probably think you're a lush, an alcoholic, or something. Because you like to buy those.
Surrounded by fabric.
Well, besides that, because one of the things that comes to mind that you always buy and always sold well is they look like little suitcases, but you open them up and they're
the travel bars.
A travel bar. So
I don't sell them so good at the booth, but I sell them online as well.
But the other booth you would sell, you know, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Not real fast, but...
travel bars.
And for me, I was a basket case because I love baskets.
Well, better you said that than me. So, I think, too, I'm going to be doing this a long time. I enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
And if you are a person that likes to shop, but you don't want to have to dust all that crap, it's a way to get that, to get that shopping thing out of you without being surrounded by stuff everywhere in your house. And it's funny, I don't really ever go shopping other than grocery shopping and shopping at thrift stores for my business. I'm not one that goes to Walmart and walks around for hours. I mean, if I go to a store, I'm going because I need something specific. Yeah. But as far as, hey, let's go to the mall and walk around, hey, let's go to Walmart and just hang out, it's like, no.
I know. Well, I just took Jason, my son Jason, I just took him shopping because he's 26. He's going to be 27. I can't believe he's that old. Of course, I'm not getting any older,
Of course. Yeah.
These little...
He's catching up.
Yeah, these white hairs that you see growing in are inexpensive highlights that I'm growing on my own because I can't buy them. Anyway, that's what I was thinking, because I haven't had the money to go to a store or shop or buy new clothes or anything. And if I pick up anything along the way, it's usually at the thrift store. Yeah. It's like, that's a cute shirt. But I had, I say he grew into his man body, but his man body hasn't stopped growing. So he was kind of outgrowing a lot of his clothes. So I've been kind of on a lookout, and I found clearance shorts at one store. And so we went to the local one to see if they had any more of this one style that he really, really liked. They were $9 for brand new shorts. So I took them out there, and it just seemed so weird to me. I'm in a store, and I'm actually shopping stuff that, I mean, it was still a discount kind of a store. It was Gabriel Brothers, I mean, but still I was shopping, and it just felt so out of character for me.
Yeah.
I almost felt guilty being in there. It was so funny.
Because I know Mr. Pudgy Pickers, his friend, his best friend's wife, she loves to go shopping, and she can't go shopping by herself. So she drags her husband to like Kohl's and Walmart. And like, just walk around. Let's just walk around. And I'm like, oh, I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I get that, ooh, let's go up and down the aisles. The only place I ever do that is at the thrift stores.
I know.
If I go into Walmart, I have a list and I know exactly what I'm going in there for.
Yeah.
And I get what I'm getting and I get out. So, that's just the way I operate. So, but I can see doing this long term just because I love it so much. And we keep getting so much smarter at it.
Oh my goodness.
We got to keep going now. It's taken us this long to get this smart.
Get the hang of everything.
Yeah.
Can't give up on it now.
Yeah.
Because it's going to change again tomorrow.
Yeah.
What sells and don't sell to change again next week.
Yeah. Well, plus I got to keep getting all my thrift hauls so I can keep showing them on eBay.
Yep. Some people like that stuff.
I know. So I guess you have anything else to add?
No, I think we covered everything on my list. And some.
Yeah, so this is kind of an eclectic, kind of a this, that, and the other type of
It's time
podcast.
to get to know Jen and Kim.
Getting to know you.
Getting to know all about you.
Okay, so we hope you enjoyed this podcast this week. Please give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Or you can email a question. Hey, you guys need to start leaving some questions. Because I only have a couple from the last several episodes. So
And I know you got to be wondering something.
Yeah, so start typing in those questions, peeps. And if you just want to send me an email with a question or a comment, you can send that jen@pudgypicker.com. You can follow me on Twitter under The Pudgy Picker. And we will see you next week.
Oh, until then.
Until then.
So long, farewell, love it.
Okay, bye.